Hey, this is the Pinemen.
And today, we're talking about democracy.
This is the Pinemen.
Welcome, everyone.
Welcome. Just before we went live, we already started talking about, you know, does democracy really exist in this country?
And we didn't find an answer yet.
Yeah,
Well, actually, honestly, the answer in this country, does democracy really exist, is
it's not.
no. But how can it exist, and what could be changed? How would it look? What would it look like?
Yeah. Well, that's a good question. Because let's first break down what we have currently, right? In our country, we uh, vote for people to vote for people. Also, the two-party system that doesn't really leave a lot of room for democracy. Gotta say.
Yeah, pretty much. A lot of what we were saying towards the end there, when we were just talking about it a minute ago, was the idea that people seem to get hung up on certain things and really fight for that, and they feel really passionate, on the left or right, or left or right, in terms of the American political world, aka Democrats or Republicans, whatever.
Yeah.
So the right and the less right, but still very right, pretty much. And it's like, uh, people will get very passionate about it and really argue their points. I'm mainly talking about Democrats here, because of course Republicans do that, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Oh, Jesus.
what's a yeah, yeah, yeah.
We
They
ranted
sure
about that
do.
the other day.
You may have noticed that they tend to do that, and
God.
it's just bizarre because, when you see, I don't know how to really put it into words that well, but it's like when you see them fighting for their beliefs, they're fighting for their beliefs. You know what I mean? And it's like as crazy as it can be, but
Indeed.
it's just weird when you see people fighting for the Democrat agenda. It's like, what are you do you want that? Do you actually want that, or do you think about what you really want and then demand that? Because
Yeah.
if you're opposing the farther right ideology, you probably want something much better than that, and you just don't know that it exists. Maybe it's
Like,
just
that's a really good point. That's a really good point. Because I feel like most people who vote for Democrats are not voting for Democrats. They're voting against Republicans.
exactly, yeah.
And that became obviously way more clear in this election.
Yeah, for sure. Of course. Yeah, exactly.
And but yeah, I mean, it's still to this day so frustrating to me how much the rhetoric machine and just everybody getting so caught up with social politics and how politicians actively use that all of the time for votes, and it becomes the only thing the media talks about, to the point that things that actually matter
Yeah.
at the end of the day. Obviously I think that people having rights and stuff matters,
Of course. Yeah.
but the fact that we're even talking about whether they should or shouldn't have rights is insane.
Right. Yeah. It's basically the fact that conversation is at the forefront. I'm not trying to speak for people, for groups that I'm not a part of and stuff, but it's I just feel like it would be so nice if
Mm-hmm.
if more people who feel passionate about trying to improve the situation for everybody would realize that the fact that you have to even the fact that you even live in a world and a country and a system where you have to justify your existence
Yeah,
is
right.
bad. That shouldn't even be happening. How you're gonna go all in on people who are I'm willing to reason with I'm willing to find a bipartisan solution to whether or not you are legitimate as a human
as
being.
a person.
Yeah, it's like that's not your friend, you know. Like,
I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
yeah,
It's just on. It's well, this whole new thing we talked about it the other day, but I just can't. I can't like I. A lot of the times I understand some stuff, you know, that I don't agree with.
yeah.
But this, man, it's very, very difficult for me to like see the logic at all.
Of what? Being like a diehard Democrat
the-
supporter?
Well, no. I'm talking about the. Oh, sorry, because we were talking about people being valid, but I was talking about like this like the Florida bill.
Oh yeah, well yeah, that
Like
I agree.
every single person is talking about right now, and it's like. At first, when the first time I heard about it, I was like, okay, this is something that's one dude's talking about it and it'll be gone in a little bit.
I thought so.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
It's a law.
Everyone and I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it.
Yep.
It doesn't make any sense. Like we
Yeah.
talked about it the other day, but it's the only thing that I'm thinking about right now because it's just like even with like pro-choice stuff like that I can understand the logical argument around it.
Yeah.
Even though I don't I'm not pro-life.
Right.
But I can see where people are coming from when they talk about stuff like that.
Right.
Even though it's like it's not your kid, mind your business.
Yeah. Right. I have an opinion on it, and it's the same as yours. But it's like, the other person's opinion. It is like, I see where you're coming from. I see how you arrived at that conclusion. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But this idea of like, if you're gay or queer or trans or whatever, you can't let anyone know.
Right. That is just like, that is
You
just
can't
like,
let anybody know.
I don't know. Like,
What? The kids might become gay if you tell them that you're gay.
yeah. Like, really, just
Let 'em.
imagine.
Who cares?
Like, it's such like low hanging fruit, but it's like, just imagine if people were like, really imagine the reaction if people passed a law that was like, just don't let anyone know that you're Christian. Just don't talk about it. You can feel it within yourself, but you're not allowed to talk about it or tell anybody about it, and it's not allowed to be discussed in any way in schools or anything like that. People would be
that I would understand.
right. Actually,
logical.
that would make sense, but like maybe not that you're not allowed to even mention it. But like, it's like I'm not saying like you're not allowed to mention that it exists, but like to have it be taught in schools as like, well, Jesus said this, so that's why that's a law. Like, I mean, that is like honestly, like I'm sorry, but I don't know how that is not like. That type of thinking really makes me feel like it's laughable when we imagine ourselves as like this like advanced society. Like we're an advanced society and we say, no, you're not allowed to be a person because I believe that some guy named Jesus wouldn't want you to be that way or something. I just like what?
And Jesus also. Well, he wouldn't even care.
Right, 100%.
It's a whole fucking part of Christianity. It's ridiculous.
Right, exactly. Like, honestly, if you were
God.
actually to listen to what Jesus would want, you would be going out there fighting tooth and nail for those people to have their rights. You know, like...
Yeah.
It's like...
It.
I don't know. It's crazy.
But yeah, so democracy's dead.
Right.
I don't even think it ever existed. I think the thing about democracy really, is that it can only really exist in like pockets, in any meaningful way.
In a meaningful way, yeah.
Because outside of that, it's like we have like way too many people to wrangle together and like make an actively informed vote for something.
Yeah. Right. And yeah, exactly. And like when you mentioned like the two-party thing, obviously, it's like even the way things are, it's like, well, of course the way things are, that's what we're talking about. It's like we look at it as like, oh, of course we live in a democracy. We can all vote, all that stuff, and that's good. That's like, it's more like if we didn't at least have that, it would be like, yeah, we are just enslaved straight up, at that point. But it's like, is it meaningful? Well, you tell me. When every single thing that's voted on, or anytime democracy is at work, it's like pretty much like 49% of the country is unhappy with the outcome. You know, like,
Yeah.
and honestly, it's more like, 49% are like outraged with the outcome, and then like even on the side that's happy about it, it's more like 90% of them are like, this is a half measure of a half measure of a half measure, but at least we got something, or at least we blocked that, or something. You know, like,
Yeah. Dude, the only time that I was ever like, even like smiled a little bit at finding out who won an election was Obama, but I was in high school and I didn't know enough about politics. I was just like, oh, that's cool. That
yeah,
a black guy
right,
got to be
exactly,
president.
exactly. Yep.
But then you even look at you look at his administration as well. It's all bullshit.
Right, exactly. And that's one of those things. It's just like,
I tried watching his fucking animal show. I couldn't even listen to him for too long because I was like, I don't know, I just don't trust you.
yeah, right. I don't even know. I didn't even know he had a show like that. But
Yeah, he does like it's like national parks. He like goes like talks about not. I don't. I watched it for like a few minutes and I was just like, I don't know. I'm sorry.
it's so
I love
weird.
animal shows, but
Yeah.
he just I don't know.
I can't.
He's-
I can't listen
whatever.
to his voice. It's just I mean, there are 90% of them are like this, but him. It's like when I hear him speak, I don't understand how people. Like, I understand that he has like a very particular way of speaking, and like, just like there's something soothing about it, I guess, in a way. And if he was doing like an audio book, yeah, nice. He's definitely got it down. Like, but to be like, I don't know, if some person walked up to you and just started speaking to you like, how you doing? We're gonna
Wow, that was really good.
like, we're gonna need to, whatever. I don't know how to do an Obama impression,
Yeah.
but actually, honestly, that
That
how
was
you
actually
doing
really good.
was not bad.
That was
But like,
really good.
but he's just got like that whole like, it is imperative that we move forward in a responsible manner. Like, it's just, if someone came up and started talking to you like that, you'd be like, are you okay? Like, do you need me to call an ambulance? Like, what is
Yeah.
wrong with you? But people think it's like, oh, he's so sincere and stuff. I don't know. This is kind of just like a personal thing. But this has nothing to do with
Yeah.
like his policies or whatever. It's just weird. Like, it just seems like the most rehearsed thing I've ever heard in my life. Like,
Yeah. I wonder if he talks like that when he's chilling.
I have no idea. I mean, I can't imagine. No one does that.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just so weird. I'm just remembering this really funny thing that I saw this one time. It's like,
Tell me.
well, I don't know. It sounds so lame, but like I just randomly saw this like random like Key and Peele sketch. I don't know. I was watching a lot of like Reggie Watts like
Oh yeah.
live
yeah.
performances, and I found out that he made the theme song of their show, and I was like, oh yeah, of course, I've heard about this show before. I've seen a few skits, and I typed it in, and it said like something like Obama during his college years, and I don't know. It was pretty funny. The guy did his voice really well.
Oh.
And it was like.
Oh.
But he was like partying and stuff
Gotcha.
like that. I don't know. It was pretty funny. But like,
Oh, that's pretty.
the
that's pretty
voice
good.
and like the cadence thing is so particular to him, and even that little like he'll just like throw like
Yeah.
a long like super vocal fried like
Yeah.
like in the middle of like a sentence in the most like unexpected parts. Like, I don't know. Now that I've said it,
Yeah.
go watch like Obama speeches, and you'll probably be like, oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. He does do that a lot. It's interesting. I mean, like, now we're talking about dialectical things, but it's funny how much like people's cadence
Mhm.
can be very memorable.
Yeah, I
And
guess
that's
so.
part of it. I feel like it's not necessarily that he is good or bad at giving speeches. It's that he does it in a way that people remember and they feel like it was good.
I guess you're right. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Because I mean, Trump has
That's
a
a
very
big
similar
thing.
thing too.
That's a really big thing. I feel like even like I don't know, with anything, singers and all this stuff too. It's just like,
Yeah, that's a good point.
but anyway, back to democracy.
Yeah, sorry, it's hard to stay on topic even when we try to. Like,
I know, but yeah, I mean, yeah. So I guess we can move forward and talk about like what would a functional democracy, a true functional democracy, look like, even though it might seemingly be impossible to have
right,
outside of like a group of like 10 to 20 people.
right. That's what it feels like, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. We bring this up pretty often nowadays, but like, I like the idea of, and I don't understand it completely. I don't. And when we say what would it look like, we're not about to give you the answer. We're just
Oh, no, no,
brainstorming
no.
here.
Yeah.
Because I don't know the answer. But it's like what they did in Catalonia and Barcelona back
Oh, yeah.
back during the
Is that
Spanish Revolution.
syndicalists?
Yeah, like just having like democracy in the workplace, and then have like like those workplaces kind of represent themselves in like a collaborative way with like other institutions and things like that, right? Like, I mean, that's a very like simple way
Yeah.
of putting it, but like pretty much, right? Like I
Yeah.
could see that having like a good impact, but there's also questions. It's like, okay, but then how do you, is there any like what do you do as far as like some kind of military spending or something? How does
Yeah.
that come into play? Like ideally that you would have no need for it, but like if you're going to have like the first one to kind of like revolutionize the way we do things,
Yeah.
they're going to be vulnerable. Like, what do you do? And, what they did back then, the Spanish rebels or, anarchists, did like they had like militias and stuff, and they were able to do battle with other, like, guys with guns running through the city streets and stuff like that, sure. But in this day and age, I mean, who's going to be, like, what if someone comes up with, like, a stealth bomber or something like that? Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
I don't think you could just be like,
Yeah.
hey, man, I know you're the butcher usually, but we need you to help us out on this little operation. And, like, what are you going to do? Like,
You got to build you got to build a stealth bomber of our own.
yeah, exactly. And down the
But
line,
that's-
I think it could be super effective, but that's, like,
Yeah.
ideally you wouldn't need that. So it's just a weird thing,
Well, that's the
balancing,
thing,
like,
and
ideology versus realism. Like, like...
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, realism. Because, I mean, I've been reading, the Machiavellians,
Yeah.
defenders of freedom.
Yep.
But, I mean, their argument basically, I mean, well, their point basically throughout the book with democracy is just like, it's not realistic.
That seems to be like where it comes where it comes back around to all the time. It's so
Yeah,
weird.
and just like leaders will naturally, come into power, and we talked about this too. Like even in an anarchist society, there's always going to be somebody who is looked to as a leader,
Yeah.
and then they have arbitrary power, and then
Right.
9 times out of 10 they misuse that power.
Right. And I think with that type of goal in mind, to have like true equality and freedom, and not, basically abolishing like unjust hierarchy and, exploitation and stuff like that, it would be like here's my thing personally, and this is what I've gathered and what I've come to the conclusion of myself. It's like it's a weird way to put that, but okay. It's like this is my opinion, okay? It's like you could also say that. Is that like okay? So I think people will kind of naturally rise to be leaders and stuff like that on like small scales and stuff like that. Yeah, but the only way that someone can rise to be a leader for like and really like control people is to have like a system in place where like there's a just to put it like better, like there's a seat for that person to sit in, you know what I mean? Like if there's nothing there, okay, you can sit in any random chair, it doesn't mean anything, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
if you have a thing where it's like this is a power structure and you're now recognized as someone who's at the top of it, or is any higher up above anybody else, then what are we doing here? Like, why is that there? Just
Yeah.
that can't exist. And I mean, I'm kind of putting the cart before the horse a little bit. I'm assuming that everybody would agree that it's like, yeah, you got to get rid of all power structures first, which people might not
Yeah.
agree with, I guess. But it's like, I don't know. As we're talking about democracy, I don't see how a functional democracy can exist in a system where the people who are elected, the moment they're elected, their goal shifts from achieving the goals of like the people that are their constituents, and it becomes like self-preservation and protecting the status of the party within the system, or their
Yeah.
And
Well, that
yeah.
leads into the idea of, you know, people don't get elected; they get themselves elected, or their friends get them elected.
Okay, yeah.
You know, it's like so, and then you think about stuff like that with even with true democracy. It's like there's going to be, you know, people who are like, we'll throw you a couple of bucks if you vote for our guy.
Right,
Or
yeah.
like, oh, we'll give you, you know, you'll get like preferential treatment if you vote for this dude or vote for me.
Exactly.
And it's like, how do you like? That's why whenever we talk about this stuff, really, it comes down to like, we genuinely need like a real cultural revolution first.
Yeah.
That like gets how many ever 70% of the world to be like, oh yeah, this is kind of like actively harming us
Right.
all the time. That like we're not living, you know, in like a way that actively like benefits us
Right.
as an individual and as a society.
Right. Yeah. Like the goal would have to be like that's another thing. Yeah, that would have to be we're almost assuming that would be the case too, right? Up until you just pointed it out. It's like
Yeah.
you would also need like people to instead of having this general mindset at least in western countries where it's like I got to worry about me, you know, I got to make sure I'm taken care of. I got to make sure that like I'm paying my bills. I'm getting what I can, you know what I mean? Cuz like and like that's and that's just even like a more modest version of it. A lot of people have like this thing of like yeah, I want to get rich, of course. Why wouldn't I? Like I want to make money. I want to like live a good life. I want to be able to enjoy myself. I want to have nice things and all that. And like what does that lead to? It leads to not only I was gonna say like looking the other way when it comes to like taking advantage of people, but it's not even that. It's like dive in head first and volunteering to be the one to take advantage of people because you're gonna do it better than the other guy. You got to compete. You got to make sure you're really taking advantage of people and you're dragging whoever you can down on the way up or whatever. Like that's just the way it plays out. Whether you want to be that way or not, you got to do it. And culturally, yeah, in order for any real change to happen, I think it would have to start with just people coming to the conclusion that like that's like you should be kind of like looked down upon if you have that. You know what I mean? Like if you want to claw your way to the top and stuff like that. It's like, you know, like
yeah. Like it's like yeah, it's I'm trying to think of the way that I want to phrase this. It's like we are all stuck in like a game, and instead of collectively being like we don't want to play the game anymore, we are just fighting to win the game because that seems like the only thing that you're allowed to do.
Right, exactly. And
this is we talk about that a lot too. The feeling like you're allowed. You know, even like just before, it's like when you start overthinking these ideas like we do, and then you have to like justify, you know, work and justify money and justify like buying stuff to yourself and like you know, and then it's like, oh shit, like I'm just a regular guy too, going around having to do all this shit, and I can't break this by myself.
Right.
You know, it's like, so everyone feels that way, and so we all just keep doing the same stuff.
Right.
Because I can't do it by myself.
Exactly. So there would have to be like, yeah, people would just have to like embrace the idea that like, wow, we really are just all the same, and we're just all in this together. What are like? What are they?
Something's gonna have to happen.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I just don't even know. Like,
China. We're gonna have to get into a war with China.
Oh my God, you think?
I think, yeah. I think that would end capitalism as we know it in America.
It's just weird and scary. It's like because there's no guarantee that you can go in a good direction. There's no, guarantee whatsoever that it's like, oh, once capitalism falls, it'll naturally get replaced with like a collective society. You know, like
that's the thing. It'll be very interesting. But like once capitalism collapses, which it will inevitably collapse, there's going to be years of chaos.
Yeah.
And you know,
Probably.
and bad times.
Well, definitely.
But like I think I think through that, hopefully, if we learn our lessons right, which it seems like we never do, we would be able to set up a system that's way better.
Right.
You know, it's like when you, I think I might have said this point before, but it's kind of like when you watch like a zombie show or something, right? The fall of civilization happens, and then it's chaos for a while, and they like rebuild, and then they have like a bright new future ahead of them. You know, they have their little town set up.
Yeah.
You know, if you like Walking Dead or whatever.
I remember.
You know, but then there's always like dramas around leadership and stuff too, and like it's like that's like a kind of a good metric for like what would happen a lot if there was like I don't know. But this is the thing too. Like, this is the one difference that's important.
Okay.
Is that they're struggling for resources. In like a zombie.
Oh, okay.
Apocalypse,
Yeah.
You know, and if we were able to, you know, feed everybody, and everybody had shelter,
Yes.
I feel like it would be a little bit easier.
Yeah. And like
to like get everyone to cooperate. Maybe.
Well, I think so, and that is the thing that's the only thing that makes me believe that maybe it wouldn't have to be as horrific and chaotic as it could be, is that when there is some kind of, you know, because it'll obviously, to be honest, I think you know, the downfall of capitalism, I think it will be just basically like, it fails, like, you know, I don't know if there's going to be some like real like revolution that like overthrows it. I think it's going to basically get to the point where it's like it's already failed and people are just clinging on, which you could argue that that's happening right now. I mean,
that's what's happening right now.
Yeah, exactly. But like when it really gets to there, I don't know. It's just, I just think that like, I don't know. Actually, I'm like, I was gonna say, I think that people are gonna see that, oh my God, wait, we can just like, what do we need? We need to make sure that people are fed, that they have a place to live, that they have like access to like water and just like basic things like medicine and stuff. And that's what we're going to focus on. Like, that's what we do. We're not going to worry about speculating about, you know, the stock market, and we're not going to worry about, you know, making sure that we can, you know, surge our Uber prices at this time. I don't know why that came to my mind. It's just like a weird, typical, like, way to just extract as much money as you can out of people at any excuse. Like, just make them deal with as much as they'll put up with, just to their breaking point. And then that's where you want to be. That's the sweet spot. Yeah. Like, no. Instead, just make it be like, how can we make sure everybody's taken care of? That's what would happen. Well, if people were just left to do their thing, that's what would happen. Unfortunately, it would also open the door for people to say, just give me all the control and I will make I'll make us strong. Yeah, like, and for some reason, all these freedom-loving patriots who love freedom and they don't want the government telling them what to do, they love that idea of a big, strong man coming in and making it all better for them, but they don't want the government to take care of them. But, you know, it's just like, I don't know, it's crazy.
Know. Well, I mean, the hope nowadays, and there is hope, because, you know, you look at, like, the Amazon unions, and you look at that kind of stuff. Like, I mean, the disparity between, like, you know, the rate of pay of most people and the rate of inflation, it's
right, I don't see how it can last.
We're getting
much
to
longer.
a point.
Yeah,
we're getting to a point where it's way too hard for way too many people. But, you know, well, I think more unions would be good. It's better than nothing. But obviously, there's even problems with unions, of course.
Yeah.
Because that's a hierarchy system as well, where people are getting, you know, you have to pay your dues, and if you don't pay your dues, then you're not in the union anymore.
Right.
And that could be abused so easily.
Right. I still think it's a lot better, but yes,
100% a lot better.
Yeah.
100% a lot better.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, but yeah, you know, it's like there's issues with that too, and that's part of the problem. It's you know, but that's where everyone just needs to get in touch with themselves. Stop fighting with yourself all the time. Yeah. You know, you don't have to do this. Right. You don't have to do all this stuff.
Yep.
You know, it's okay. You know, think about what you actually want.
Right. And not what you want. And that kind of brings it back to the beginning. It's like, and that doesn't necessarily mean what do you want that you think is achievable based off like the circumstances that exist right now. Like, it's like this whole thing that we're so conditioned to do. Like, I want to be, and I'll just throw this out there. It's like I want to be an artist, but I really want to make these people happy, and I want to be, I want to make sure that I'm stable and comfortable. So I'm gonna go become an accountant. You know what I mean? It's like that is so different. That's not like really. If you didn't have to worry about that other stuff, what would you want? And I'm not. And it's a weird thing because everybody would be like, oh well, no one would want to do real work. They would just want to be like, a painter. Yeah, I would want to sit there and paint and be lazy. But it's like, I don't know. I don't think most people are like that. I think a lot of people do enjoy building something and making sure that stuff gets done, and they feel a sense of reward when they know that they made something better. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
I don't know. I feel like that's I don't know. That feels obvious to me, but it also feels like it's hard to know if it's true. I mean, it feels like it would be. It really does. It feels like but there's just so much this is the problem with this thing, because I definitely feel like it could work, but there's the average person, it's people are so indoctrinated into this way of thinking that they can't see a reason to not do something, not for money.
Right. Exactly. That's the
but
problem.
then it's like it's going to be a tough fucking road, but I'm down to keep talking about this shit. You know, it's like that's why I feel like that's the biggest thing that you can do, really, is just keep talking about the fact that it doesn't have to be this way.
Right. I guess so. You know, I mean,
and that's what I feel like needs to happen first. Like I keep saying, it's the cultural needle needs to move more towards an actualized open kind of society where people are getting more in touch with themselves and what they want to be doing, and on learning all of the fucking shit that has been shoved down our throats since we were born.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like honestly, most of the time I'd rather kind of die than not pursue the things that I want to pursue. It's it feels like that.
And, and I think that there's a big reason why. Tell me if this sounds reasonable to you. You just said that. Look at the world we live in right now. Look at society in America. We're just using that as an example. Alcoholism skyrocketing, drug use, drug deaths, alcohol deaths, depression, anxiety, all skyrocketing. Yep. And we think that it's just oh, well, people are just, they're just weak. They're just weak. It's everybody else. It's everybody. Everybody just got weak. And why did it happen? Because there was a homosexual middle school teacher one time, that made society weak, and that's why they're depressed and anxious and miserable. Not the fact that it's from your first memories until the day you die. For most people, you are just constantly reinforced on a daily basis with the idea that your only reason for existing is to produce and provide, and you don't think of it as oh, I go to work and I produce. I generate productivity for the shareholders, basically, or for the whatever CEO or the owners or whatever the company is like. But it's you are just, and you're just constantly beaten down anytime you really feel there's something that you could be passionate about. It's just oh well, yeah, that's a silly hobby, good for you, but you got to you got to make you got to live in the real world. You got to grow up. It's just there are plenty of people who would love to how you mean to tell me that there are not people who would be really interested in doing high quality architecture and stuff like that, or really working with their hands and getting in there and just being outdoors and doing stuff like that. That's not just, but we think about everything from a capitalist perspective. It's what does that mean now? It's you're a day laborer who gets paid by some contractor, And it's like you just do like nonstop work. I'll give you like 30 minutes to eat a sandwich real quick, but then I need you back to work, and I'll give you like $100
Yeah.
for like
For the day.
8 hours of backbreaking labor. It's like, yeah, no one wants to do that, and some people do. I mean, some people are just
They don't want to do it for that little.
right.
thing, but
Of
they do
course,
it.
of course. But like, some people would be hard workers that just want to do that and stuff like that. But yeah, you not for barely any money, but it's like not that $100 is barely anything, but you know what I mean. For that amount of work, it's nothing, you know.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. It's just like people would want to do these things. It's just a lot of the people who want to do that, who have a passion for like that type of thing, would instead turn around and be like, yeah, but that's like unrealistic. So I'm just gonna be like something remotely close to it, but it's like not really. I'll just like go to school for like communications or something, and then you just graduate and you're like, what do I do? I don't know. I failed. It's my fault. What is wrong with me?
Yeah.
I'm not good enough. Like, you know, and then
Yeah.
you go and you just feel like my life should have been this way, but it's this way because I'm such a screw up. You know, like a lot of people are feeling that way.
Yeah. I want to go back for a second.
Yeah.
To talk about the person who is calling other people weak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I just want to say that most likely that man or woman is probably has a drinking problem.
Right.
Probably like screams at other cars in traffic.
Yep.
And maybe screams at their kids, and maybe they hit him once, a couple of times, maybe, who knows, they lost their temper a little bit.
Yeah. Maybe
everyone's hanging on by a fucking thread, and everyone's just trying to justify their own bullshit. It's so fucking boring.
Yep, exactly. And just looking down on other people like, well, I'm not like that though.
At least I'm not complaining about the fact that I hate my life.
Right, yeah, that's a big thing too. It's like, yeah.
Oh my god.
There's something wrong with you. You acknowledge the way you feel and you are willing to speak about it. You should be more like me, someone who just bottles it up and then just like feels miserable inside and doesn't understand why. And I think it's because like I think I'm miserable inside because like I don't like the way that person's driving, or because my child asked me to like make him a sandwich and I'm busy. You know, it's like,
yeah.
So
I broke the TV.
My
because
dog
my
is
team
barking.
lost.
Yeah, my dog is barking too much, and I'm mad at the dog.
Yeah.
No, you're not. You're mad at life. You're mad at society. You really are. Because why are you mad why do you get mad when you have to wake up in the, like, your dog barks and then you have to wake up and it like messes up your sleep? Why are you so mad? Are you so mad because your dog barked and you were like, I was asleep. I really liked being asleep in that specific moment. If I could choose, I would have chosen that moment and you ruined it. No, you're mad because you're like, now I'm going to be really tired at work tomorrow. Like, I got to do a whole bunch of shit I don't want to do tomorrow, and you're making this harder on me because it's already hard enough as it is. I'm barely hanging on, and now you just threw me out of my routine by this much, and now I'm going to freak out. We think that that's just like, got a bit of a mouth on him. It's like, no, that's like, think about that. Think about the fact that we're just a bunch of people walking around like, if this person makes a turn, if this person changes lanes in a way that I don't appreciate, I'm going to like start violently screaming. But no, I'm just hanging out, I'm just a dude who likes to watch the game, I'm enjoying my life, like.
Dude, it's rough. When I was living in New York and working full time and in New York, I literally felt all of the fucking time, and I have to talk to you about this, but like literally, you like live like if any inconvenience happens, you're ready to like break something or punch a wall, and it's just like, Jesus Christ,
right?
And it took me so long because I thought it was everybody else's fault, it's like, oh man, everyone's just so fucking annoying.
yeah, I know what
but
you
it's
mean.
just I just literally have no. Like, I have no more room in my head for anything else that's bothering me, because so much about my life is bothering me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People need... well, this is... Maybe people don't need to do this, but I did it, and it helps for me. Like, just work as much as you need to.
Yeah, right.
Try to live a small, quiet life, and don't buy that much stuff. Don't go into debt. You don't need it. You don't need that car. You don't need that thing. You don't need it. I'm telling you, life is way better without all the shit.
Right, and there are people who are in situations where, like, maybe they do desperately need to handle something like that, but like it's like I think what the like concept that you're getting at is like just more like if you don't value it yourself when you're being honest with yourself, you don't have to like just do it anyway and like do it for the reason of like, yeah, but this is what people do. Like I gotta do it, you know.
Well, you
like,
even
maybe
think,
maybe I'm like that's just me speaking. Actually, I don't know why I'm trying to say that. That's
but
what
you even think like the amount of people who have like kids and stuff just because they don't know what else to do with their time in life. They're like,
right,
I'm approaching 30. I probably should have kids.
Right. It's a lot of it is just like
probably should get married.
Right.
It's
a lot of it is just. Oh my God! When my parents were like my age, they had kids and they were married and they had a house. I should do that. I feel like I should be doing that, and it's like, why? You don't no, you don't have to do that. I don't know. Like you just.
And now I have to work this job. I have to work 2 jobs. I have to and it's just like you could have just skipped this a little bit and waited, or maybe just didn't do it.
Right. Or
we don't like. Do we all have to have kids?
Right.
All the time.
Yeah. All the time.
How
just
many
having kids. Like
just
stop having kids. What are you doing? No. But like
do whatever you want.
No, exactly. Exactly.
If your life is too full of stress.
Yeah, everything that I guess what I was trying to say a minute ago is just like everything we're saying is just everything that I'm saying, and I think it's the same for you, is just it's just to try to prove the point that like it's not like don't have kids. Like you don't actually want kids. You don't actually want a car. Maybe you do, but you don't just by default want that. That's not just what everybody wants, and so I have to want that because that's what people do. You know what I mean? It's
a balancing thing,
right? It's like if you really feel strongly about it, then okay. But like, do you really just feel strongly about it because like that's what like your wife wants, or your girlfriend, or your husband, or your mom, or your neighbor, or your boss, or your coworker, or your friend from high school who was really cool, and like so you thought like I want to be more like that, like damn I wish I could have that life. So now you just fast forwarded 10 years and you're like, oh my God, I like wanted to be cool 10 years ago, so I pretty much just convinced myself that I need to be on this path where I grind and I make sure I get all this stuff, and I got this nice stuff. It's like, do you really care about that? I mean, I don't know how anyone can if they are really just breaking it down and just being like, where does this come from? What do I actually value? I don't know how anyone can arrive at the conclusion that like, no, yes, in fact, what I value is like the sandals that have like the brand on them, and like like I need to have the sandals with the logo. It has the logo, guys. Like, come on.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted all my life. Like,
capitalism does a really good job of tricking us into buying a bunch of shit that we don't need.
Yeah.
And they make us really feel like it's like this is the fucked up thing about it. Really, is it makes it feel like it's really a part of who you are.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the problem. You just try. Just here's advice for no reason. Just try to pay attention to what you're doing. Just look at what you're doing and ask yourself why you're doing it.
Right.
And if you have a good answer for it, then please, God, do it. Definitely do it.
Right.
But most of I feel like I found this in my own life, and I'm sure you have as well. You're just doing stuff sometimes, and you're like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this?
Yep.
What am I doing this for?
Exactly.
And on that note.
Yeah, I was just about to say, and yeah, this may seem like it drifted really far away from the idea of democracy, but to me, the way it ties in is like, so when we think about like really having a say in the way that society should be structured and the way that decisions should be made and all this stuff, it's important to first off realize what's possible, what really matters. Not just, hey, some guy that I've never met and I never will meet and he doesn't give a shit about me wrote up like some stuff and is like, this is what we think we might be able to accomplish. So we'll just like water it down and water it down and water it down until we get like 1% of it, and then you should be happy and you should thank me because I did such a great job. Like,
yeah,
No.
Because we still need all of the stuff, so we can't get rid of the stuff. We need the stuff.
Right.
We need all the stuff that we already have. So how can we function within the stuff that we already have? Because we need the stuff that we already have, obviously.
Right, of course. Because what are we going to do without it? Everything would collapse. People are going to go crazy if they can't order a new TV so that they could get the channels and watch the shows.
News.
You know, you gotta
Watch
be
the
watching
news
the
and get their-
shows. Yeah, and the news. They need the news so that the news can tell them what's important. So that they gotta just keep buying the stuff because
How would they know
told
what
them.
kind of shirt to wear?
Right, exactly. How would they know?
How do I know what's cool if I can't watch the show?
Right. Yeah. How am I gonna know what I want unless someone tells me? I need it so bad, and it's proof that I always needed this because I need it so bad that they went out of their way to spend like $4 million on an ad slot so that they can
so nice
remind
of
me how
them.
much I want this. You know, like.
Oh, what a sweet corporation.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry.
Showing me who I am.
Right.
Showing me who I am. Thank you.
Right. So
Thank you, capitalism.
when you take a look at this stuff, I don't even know who the hell I'm talking to right now. It's like I'm just kind of, but it's like,
Hello, America.
yeah, everyone out there. When you think about this stuff, when you think about like what should we really be working towards as like a government or whatever, you know, in the with the way things are right now, it's like, I don't know. It's like you don't actually have to settle for just complete bullshit every time. You just don't have to do that. Like,
Yeah.
there's if enough people get together and demand what really matters, that's it. Like, you know.
Yeah, or if people just start realizing that they don't need all of that stuff.
Right,
People just
and at the
naturally, like, you know, all of
Exactly.
these things are funded with money from corporations that we actively give money to because we think that we need Nikes
Right. Yeah.
and
Exactly.
Coca-Cola.
Right.
You know, it's like that. This is the scam, man. This is the whole scam.
Right.
It's all,
And
this
they
is democracy.
they actually convinced everybody, and everybody just said, "Yeah, hell yeah, that's true." That like a brown bubbly liquid that's basically like borderline poisonous, called Coca-Cola and stuff like that, is like, it says something. Like, it's not just a drink.
Yeah.
It has a personality. It has history. It makes you feel a certain way. There's memories attached
Nostalgia,
to
baby.
it. It's
Yeah.
Americana, you know? Like, think about it. It's like, it's a liquid that they made. Like, it's just like a product that someone sells so that they can make money. That's it. That's literally all it is. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's
Yep.
like, and I don't know. And it's fine. I mean, it's okay that it exists or whatever. But I'm just saying, it's like, take
Is
a
it?
look at how the fact that liquid exists. I'm not going to sit here and be like, they should make that illegal or something.
Oh no.
But I just
Don't
mean
make
like,
anything illegal.
the
People should just stop buying it.
right. People should stop buying it and stuff. In my opinion, whatever. But like,
Yeah,
like-
don't make it illegal.
but I'm just saying, it's like, when you take a look at the people that are supposed to be representing you in this democratic country, take a look at what really is being shown to you. Like, you're being presented with the choice of, like, honestly, it's actually weird that we say the Coke thing, because it's like, you're literally being presented with, like, Coke or Pepsi. That's it. Which shitty thing that shouldn't even exist do you choose? Because we're gonna tell you that this is all there is. And literally, they will go out and push upon you the very thing that we're complaining about, which is like, you need this, you need that. Yeah, like, look at this. Like, they all support the system that makes it so that you work for someone else who tells you what to do. They tell you when to eat, when you can go home, when you can see your children, when you can whether or not you're allowed to get medicine, whether or not you're allowed to go to a doctor, where you work, whether or not you're going to need to have a car because, you know, they make your schedule, they tell you where the office is, all this stuff. They decide when we're hiring, when we're not, what we're going to produce, how we're going to produce it, and what do? They sell it back to you at prices that you can't really afford, but they convince you that you need it. Otherwise, you're pathetic and you're a failure, but they're going to be talking. You know, that you don't want to be seen out in public without this or with that. No way. But you could just say, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? And why are they telling me about this? I wasn't born loving Coca-Cola and Nike and brands and the TV shows that are like, you know, but you just got convinced that you do. And it's just like, you could at any moment it's really hard, but if you take a look and really think about, like, if there was none of that, if I didn't get that stuff rammed down my throat, what would I really want? And just take it from there. And I think that's how we all come together. Because we're all going to come to the same conclusion, more or less, if we're being really honest with ourselves.
And I feel like that's a perfect place to wrap up the episode.
You think so? Okay, cool. I'm glad you liked
Yeah.
that then. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was perfect.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
We're trying to keep them shorter now, so
Yeah.
this is a good spot, I feel like.
All right, cool. Well, that was a fun one. Yeah, these short ones, I feel like we just like it's just like a burst of energy and just be like, all
Yeah.
right, I need to go
Yeah.
lay down now. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, this was a good one.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, don't forget to vote.
Yeah, it's very important. Yeah. And vote with your click by subscribing and liking this video if you liked
Yeah.
it. You know.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Thanks for coming, everybody. We'll see you Monday
Yes.
or Wednesday
Yeah.
or Thursday.
One of those. We'll see you
We're
sometime.
not good at keeping a schedule. This is why we don't like work.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it really all comes down to. Just stop trying to tell me to stay on schedule, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Until next time, whenever that may be. Peace.
This is the Pinemen.